meeting will come to order, please. The notice requirements of the Open Public Meetings Act for this meeting have been satisfied. A copy of the annual meeting notice was sent to the press at Down Beach Card, posted on the bulletin board in the municipal building, the municipal website, and filed in the office of the city clerk. Would you please take a second and turn off all electronic equipment, and we will please stand for the flag salute. Attention, salute.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Call the roll, please.
Mayor Becker?
Here.
Commissioner Blumberg?
Here.
Commissioner Taube? Here.
Do you want to do the resiliency report first?
Sure. It's going to be really brief.
Okay. Commissioner Taube is going to give us a brief report on the Margate resiliency situation.
I'll be real brief, Mayor. On March 25th, we sent to our team and to the mayor, you, and also to Commissioner Blumberg, a drafted report that was prepared for Margate getting to resiliency. If everybody could just please take a look at that and respond individually to Jenna with any corrections or further input, I'd appreciate it. And then later in May, there's going to be a formal report to the commission. And that's all. Thank you.
Thank you. Jim, are you okay?
Yes. Good afternoon. Hi, everybody out there. How you doing? Today's report will be on a change to our land use, which will include a potential change. The change will state that any sale of property in the city of Margate, single-family property, will require elevation certification and a survey before we can issue a land use. This certificate is provided to the realtors when they purchase for the purchasing person to notify them that they have met all the requirements for the city. The elevation cert is a document that shows what your first floor is and what your flood insurance zone is. If we can get this application and this certification prior to the buyer or the seller selling a property, it would be a lot easier for people when they call on the phone to state that your flood insurance would be XYZ instead of what they're paying an exorbitant amount of money for insurance that they probably shouldn't be paying. We found out that after April 1st in 2015 that the Bigot Waters Act, which was the one that was imposed in 2012, was amended to include that anybody after April 1st, 2015 had to provide an elevation cert to get flood insurance. This is just preliminary, Mayor. We were talking about this for a while. If we can get this going, then I think it would be easier to answer a lot of phone calls that come in the office about what is my first floor elevation, why am I paying so much money for flood insurance?
Thank you, Jim. Commissioners, do you have any questions for Jim? Mark?
Nope. Good.
No, okay.
And
Thank you, Jim.
the only other issue we had was a study that I want Ed to do, and this will be a watershed management plan. We're trying to enter into a co-op agreement with sistering cities to see if we can do this. This was a prerequisite to going to a Class 4, which is the 30% discount, which is it's a really big deal. If we can get that going or just look into it, it would be a major hurdle. We would probably be the third or first in the state to get a Class 4.
Thank you, Jim.
Thank you.
Is Maria Deaver present? Okay. Come forward and give us your name and...
Dick Adelisi, I'm the owner of the trolley company. Maria had a personal family emergency and she couldn't come today. I have,
Jim, may I have your address, please?
I'm sorry?
An address, please, for the records, for the minutes?
My name?
Your
Name
name and
and
address,
address.
please.
Richard Adelisi, Adelizzi. My address is 821 Shunpike Road,
Turnpike?
Shun, Shumpike Road, Cape May.
Okay, thank you.
But you need to see what we're trying to do in order to
Thank you.
Mr. Adelisi, I know your daughter, Susan.
Thank you.
I need one for the minutes.
Here. All right. I don't get to I had to tell him. My neighbor across the street has two of the sides. Howard Brisbane.
quickly, you know, we provide service in a lot of towns, and of course, Maria did a lot of work to find that there's an interest in Margate for this type of service. Why? I've listed some of the things. You may have some things that you could add to it. But I understand you have a parking problem. I've seen the parking problem. The trolley will help that immensely because people can ride that from the north end of town and within town. Every place we put these trolleys in, it's helped with DWI. I mean, it keeps people out of their cars and give them another way to get there. Now, if you would, relate to that map, because that's the route that we laid out, basically starting up in Marvin Gardens and coming all the way down Ventnor, and then in the restaurant district and above, out by the bay, and come on back. This was put together with consideration for the restaurants and where they're located. And they're the people that are funding this. So we have to relate to their situation. The proposal is that we run from July through Labor Day, and we just run in the evenings, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. And that's the period of time that people see that they need the service. They'd like to have it every day, but of course, it has to be justifiable too. And the way this is being funded is from the restaurants and from advertising on the trolley. And we put the fare, by the way, the fare in the Wildwoods is $2.50, in Ocean City is $2.50. We put the fare at $1, which is the same fare we have in Cape May. And the thought there is to encourage ridership, because for $1 it's pretty reasonable to take the trolley and go down to where you have to go. So that's the intent. The idea after midnight with the bars we feel that is justifiable to go up on price. We have to pay extra for the driver and so forth, and there's more issues after 12 anyway. What we've done in the other towns, if someone is family people or people going to a restaurant, we're not going to charge them the $4 just because it's after 12. The $4 are for the bar goers, and you can pretty much tell who the bar goers are. And what we would need to do this is a letter which I attached as an example saying that Margate's in favor of it. That's the only part that the city has to play. The city has to approve that they want this. And the merchants can say what they want, but the city has to say they want it. And then the point that Dave brought up is New Jersey Transit. We run all over South Jersey, and of course you don't run in South Jersey without running on some New Jersey Transit route. And our experience with New Jersey Transit is that all we have to do is send them a copy of the city's support, and they're usually amenable to that. Any questions so far?
Mr. Adelisi, before we talk about providing the letter of support, I just have some questions. The stops along the route, are they the triangles on your diagram here?
The stops that I would propose is any corner on the route.
Any corner?
Any corner on the route. The public, I mean, we have signage in a lot of towns that's lightweight signage that's good for the summer, which we can provide. I mean, I have a print shop, so it's easy enough. We can put signage, but I think the public needs to have easy access. We can put signs if the city thinks that's a good idea, or even if the restaurants think it's a good idea in front of their establishments. But I think if the word gets out that they can be picked up at any corner, that's convenient.
Okay, and when Maria first brought the idea to us, I thought it was exciting. I thought it would be a win-win for Ocean City and Margate, because our youth could go over to Ocean City and ride the rides on the boardwalk and enjoy the boardwalk, and the adults in Ocean City, I know Ocean City's dry, they could come over to Margate and enjoy our restaurants and retail. So I like that, but when I reached out to Ocean City, they weren't too crazy about the idea. Have they come around a little bit, or?
Well, you have your town, you have all kinds of factions, and Ocean City has them also. And there's a concern, I mean, I don't want to speak for them. There's a concern about parking at Ocean City. There's the revenue that they get from the parking of your people going over that might be damaged. In any event, as a governing body, you have to relate to everybody. And in Ocean City, they have enough people not in favor of it. There were a lot of people in favor of it.
Well, it could help them with their parking like it would help us with our parking, because instead of taking our individual vehicles over.
But see, I guess part of it is, if you have a good thing, why rock the boat? And I think that's part of it. The trolley works good in Ocean City. Nobody pays for anything related to the trolley. We survive just on fares. A lot of people ride the trolley. And they like it. We've had it there for many, many years. But all we can do is ask. Now, it's possible that could change. But.
And then two more quick questions. Would it be like the trolley that's out front? That's really beautiful. Would it be that one in that size?
There'll be one like it. I have 50 of them.
Okay. And then, I thought Ventnor Avenue might be a problem with DOT, but you think you can?
I've already spoken to DOT. DOT, Motor Vehicle Regulatory Affairs. I've spoken to them, and I have special charter authority which allows me to run on a non-regular basis. In other words, I couldn't do it 365 days a year with just the rights that I have now. And I think for a situation like this in Margate, to evaluate it is important, both for the city, the merchants. Is this a good thing? If I put regular route service in, I have to run it, and it's not that easy to just drop it. So I would think if the city's interested in it this year, that we get no complaint from New Jersey Transit, which I don't expect. And if you want to run it, we just run it on the weekends that we spoke about, see how it does, and then in the fall, we can decide whether or not it's a
We want to continue
permanent
it.
fixture or not.
Okay. That's all.
Maury, do you have any questions?
Just a couple of questions. We have a business association here in Margate. Have you had discussions with them as to their approval or not? Are they in favor?
Which association?
The Margate Business Association?
No, I haven't personally, and I know Maria has spoken to a lot of the restaurant people, and they seem to be, the majority of them are in favor.
Okay, and I think a lot of those people are, in fact, part of our Margate Business Association, so I would encourage you to talk to them.
Yeah, we can.
We can certainly give you the name of the president of the organization.
Usually in these towns, the businesses are very much in favor of more transportation because it brings people from other places.
And how about our Realtor Association? Have you talked to them
No.
to see if they would endorse this?
Haven't.
Okay, so I would maybe encourage you to do that. And then the one of the concerns that I might have is related to, I heard that this might, we might be shuttling kids to Ocean City, and what I'm saying, my fear there is how do we stop, a gang of 13, 14, and 15-year-old kids who don't have parental approval just from hopping on this and, disappearing to Ocean City for the night.
Yeah, well,
I would have a concern.
I traveled too fast here. We're only talking service within Margate.
Oh, okay,
The
so we're
Ocean
not...
City angle is gone for this
Oh,
summer.
okay. All right, so I misunderstood that
Yeah,
question.
originally, the thought was Margate to Ocean City connection. Ocean City did not jump at that
Right, okay.
suggestion.
Okay.
And now the discussion is strictly within Margate. And I think from what I've seen, the times I've been here, parking-wise, this would help.
Right.
Whether or not it's enough to be viable on a long-term basis, I don't know.
You have anything else?
No, the only thing is I would reserve any kind of decision and or judgment until I had a chance to speak with the different businesses, the realtors, and our
We're not
police
going to make
chief.
a decision.
Right, okay,
Absolutely.
good.
Absolutely not. Mr. Adelese, my
Yes.
concern is you're going to have to convince me about this every block bit. You're also going to have to get permission and approval of the chief of police. We don't have a lot of space, don't have a lot of parking, and sometimes pulling a trolley into certain streets may not work. So I would suggest that you get with the police chief and run this route by him for his approval. Okay?
Well, we've sent just about everything to the chief. He hasn't commented other than the New Jersey Transit angle, but he's aware of everything we've presented today.
Okay. Well, we still, I personally will need his approval. Okay? Okay.
Are you saying I have to have his approval? Of course.
I think that would be very helpful for you, yeah.
Well, I think maybe the easy way to do it, if the city, and he being part of the city, thinks that they should support the service, and his opinion would be in that support letter or not. In other words, he can relate to the route, the stops, if he wants to change those. There's nothing in concrete here.
Okay.
But when I get a letter from you, I'm assuming it's the entire city, the government.
Okay. Well, that's yet to be determined, but I understand where you're coming from. Okay. Does anybody have any questions? Chief?
Mr. Adelese, you and I spoke. I'm actually the Chief of Police and Acting Business Administrator. I just have a few quick questions or things that I'd like to see resolved first. First and foremost, is there something we could get from New Jersey Transit or MVC that says that you are allowed that what you said, not that I don't believe you, but I think the city, and I'm speaking for the solicitor, would like to see something in writing that says we can duplicate the route that New Jersey Transit does, because we've had a problem in the past with that. And the majority, like I said to Maria yesterday, I emailed her saying, the majority of this route is on Ventnor Avenue, and it duplicates New Jersey Transit routes. So that's the first thing we like to see, something solid from MVC or DOT that says, yeah, it's not a problem.
Okay.
Secondly, when you're talking about establishing stops, are we talking about actually, are you proposing you pick up in the middle of the street, or do I have to establish actual stops
Okay.
for this?
Well, let me relate to that latter one first. We're only stopping at corners on the route. It's just dangerous to stop in the middle of the street.
No, I understand
So
that, but
we only stop at corners.
But normally, there's established bus stops where the bus can point out of the roadway. Are we talking about stopping in the lane of traffic and letting people get on, or do we need to establish actual stops? Because why I'm asking you this question, that has potential effect on additional parking throughout the city.
Absolutely.
So that's a question we're going to have answered before I even make a recommendation to the commission.
All the signs that we put up are known in business as flag stops, which means you can stop there 6 seconds. It's not a bus stop where we need, you're well aware of how many feet you need in front of a bus stop, and you can't have any meters or anything. We don't interfere with that. This is a summer service.
Okay.
That's maybe 10 weekends of the year out of 52 weekends. So it's not like we have to change the whole structure of the city to adapt to it.
Okay.
Now, as far as New Jersey Transit, I mean, I've been with this business for 30 years. They will never give you an approval letter. They will not object. It's not the same as an approval. But I mean, what we do, if you want, we can send that to New Jersey Transit, ask if there are any objections. If they don't have any objections, they might not even answer you. They might and say, we have no objection, but they will never give you a support letter to say, we want you to put this service in. It's not in the cards. So if you're looking for a support letter, we're wasting our time.
So I have a question. So in other words, if the jitney drivers tomorrow decided to drive right down Ventnor Avenue to Margate, they can do it unless NJT objects? Is that what you're saying? Whatever governmental authority, for instance, jitneys. Just give me an example. If the jitneys decide to keep going from Jackson Avenue, go right on through Margate, you're saying that they're allowed to do that? They don't need an approval by any other entity?
If they want to pick up within the city,
You have to do it in a microphone.
In the microphone.
if they want to pick up within the city of Margate, they have to have Margate's approval.
Yeah, but when you say support, don't they need approval from DOT or NJT or...
I'm telling you, I already have DOT approval.
We haven't seen it. I haven't seen it. I'm the city solicitor. Maybe you ought to let me see it.
You
But I'm
want the
asking you a
DOT
question.
to write a letter that says...
Well, I don't want a letter from you. I think it should be from whichever authorities have jurisdiction over controlling transportation routes. Am I wrong in this?
I have it. I thought I sent it to you.
No, I haven't seen it. But, so we're not going to be in conflict with the bus company, for instance, or the jitney company? I mean, it sounds like a great idea. Don't misunderstand me. I just think
The
that...
jitneys have their authority,
more.
we have our authority.
Here's his approval.
Right.
It says right here, show the partner shall approve under
Yeah.
DOT. It says it right there.
Yeah, it's a little bit confusing. What you have given us is not a real clear-cut authority to do it, at least not my opinion. But,
Well, here's the thing. If you apply for regular route authority, then the state gives you an order, much like this, and says you are hereby ordered to run that, whatever
right.
interval that you say you're going to run it. We're not applying for regular route authority. We're going on my charter special authority. I've talked to motor vehicles, what you call DOT.
Right.
They say that's fine, it can operate under this, for this purpose. Now, if at the end of the summer, you say you want service next year on every weekend, then I would have to apply for regular route service, and then I would get a letter from the DOT and motor vehicles and saying you have been approved. But for the purposes that we're talking about, this is all I would need. Now, if you want something from New Jersey Transit, I would send them a copy of my rights, and they would have the ability to object, which they can do. And if they objected, then you wouldn't have the ability to run. I've never seen them object. And the reason why they're not going to object is because they don't go on the side streets, they don't go back down the bay, they don't pick up people at the restaurants that want to go home. They run up and down Ventnor Avenue. We're not interfering with that, all right? And they're not carrying the people that we want to carry. So, I mean, I have a good case with motor vehicles if I have to use that case.
And do you use the bus company's bus stops?
We use any corner on the route is what we use. And we don't use New Jersey Transit bus stops because bus stops are a key word at the DOT that says you have to have 100 feet before it, 100 feet after it, with no curb cuts, no meters. So I don't use bus stops. I just use flag stops, which means the person waves and I stop and I pick them up. And that's the end of it. I don't sit there and park. All right, a bus stop, you're allowed to sit there and park. I don't do that. We don't do any of that.
And who is the letter addressed to that you want from the governing body? Where does this letter go?
The letter can be addressed to me or to motor vehicles. I mean, I would send that letter to motor vehicles.
Scott, if I may, I just have one question, because I'm not clear on something. And you said if we charter, who is actually chartering Great American Trolley to provide this service? Is it the city? Is it the business association? Is it some restaurants? Because you've made reference that if you want to charter, who's actually chartering Great American Trolley to provide this service?
Well, the way it was set up, Maria did a lot of work, Maria Deaver, and she would be hiring us to do it. But you could do it, anybody can do it. Any individual can ask a bus company to run for them, and that's a contract you'd have with them. So whether it's with Maria Deaver or the name of her company, which is not connected with us, they would be one of the restaurants could. The restaurant association could. Anybody could contract for service.
Mr. Adalisi, with relationships like this with other municipalities, how does the insurance work? So, you know, if we're contracting with Maria's company, does she provide the insurance, or does that come from the trolley company in the event?
I'm not hearing you.
Like if somebody was injured getting on and off the insurance, does there need to be a certificate of insurance? No?
You mean the charter authority we have? I'm not hearing, I'm sorry.
Like insurance, like a liability insurance coverage?
Oh, yeah, liability would be for you.
I have this guy's.
Insurance, we have $5 million worth of insurance, and we would name the city just like we name Ocean City, just like we name Wildwood, as additionally insured.
Okay.
So that if anything occurred on the vehicle, the insurance would be the first defense.
Okay. And as these other questions were asked, I just thought of that one, and I think I just have one more. So it's just like a continual loop during these hours. It's not regular stops. You're just continually doing
We run continuous loop.
Okay. All right.
It wouldn't be that at 9 o'clock you're at a certain restaurant. You just run continuously.
Okay.
But we have a feature that when we put out flyers about the service, we put a phone number on that flyer, and the driver has a hands-free, so that anybody can call and say, where are you? How long do I have to wait? I mean, that's the substitute for 9:04 and 9:15 and so forth, which they never meet anyway.
Okay.
Clarify one thing for me, Mr. Adalisi. The city of Margate will have a contract with Maria Deaver's company, is that correct?
No, the city of Margate doesn't have to have a contract with anybody.
Correct, okay, I'm wrong, okay. For somebody.
I mean, you could if you wanted to, but why would you?
You're right,
The merchants
I
are allowed to do
apologize.
that. The
Right.
merchants.
The merchants will have-
Or the merchant association would have a contract with us to provide the service in
Okay.
detail.
And the first step is you basically need our approval, correct, to go to the Merchants Association or whoever the merchants are?
We need a letter of support that says we'd like, I mean, it has caveats in it, it has limitations. You're not approving this forever, and you're not approving regular route, you're just
Okay.
experimenting is what you're doing.
Is it-
But I think I need that from the city to convince motor vehicles and so forth that we have the city's authority to run.
Okay. Does anyone else have any questions for Mr. Adelise?
Mayor, I have a couple questions. Mr. What's his name?
Adelise.
Adelise, Roger Rubin, zoning officer, a couple questions. How often do these buses run? Like every 5 minutes, every 20 minutes? Trolleys?
It's about a 20 minutes.
Not every 20 minutes?
I mean, you guys get a lot of traffic, it could be
Yeah.
30 minutes.
There are a couple of residential streets involved. South Cedar Grove Avenue from Ventnor to Atlantic. I think maybe the commissioners would want to know how the neighbors might feel on that street. And then you're returning on Madison Avenue, according to this map. I had two questions. One is, why do you truncate at Madison instead of further down Monroe or Coolidge, where you're losing two restaurants? Was that intentional, or this is just a general diagram? By turning on Madison Avenue, you're losing some major possible business at Monroe and Coolidge.
Monroe's below it, right? South
It's
of-
towards Longport. Yeah,
Yeah,
right.
well,
Was there a reason why you cut it down to Madison?
we try to make the route through the town as
Uh-huh.
quickly as we can, so it doesn't tie the vehicle up.
Uh-huh.
But I think this was developed by those restaurants that wanted the trolley
Uh-huh.
to pass in front of them. And those restaurants that did not want it didn't get it.
Okay, I think the commissioners have to consider the interests of the people in Cedar Grove Avenue, and for that one block in Madison Avenue, that there will be this vehicle going down there every so often. And also, do you have,
Finish on what you said, on
I'm sorry.
Madison, on Madison,
that's a
do you
residential
think there
street.
would be people on that road that would object to the trolley?
I honestly don't know, but you have 3 or 4 blocks of Madison, it's all residential, and I don't know. I just think that has to be considered.
Well, that's something that the city would either have to say, I don't want you to run there, or find that those people down there are okay with it.
I guess we could tweak that later.
Thank you.
Also,
Go ahead, finish.
one more question. Most of this route is on Ventnor Avenue, which is a county road. Do you have county permission to use the road for this business? Have you run into this before? It's an Atlantic County road.
See, the state authority trumps the county, so if you have state authority, you don't need county authority.
I would ask our solicitor to,
Okay?
if that's, well, one more question.
You said that already.
I would kind of sort of recommend to the commissioners that you at least consider doing this by ordinance rather than by just a letter, because a lot of things have to be thought about. And there's a few details, like, flagging and stops and things of that nature. And if you just give a letter, it's very general, where you have ordinances for other things on the public streets, like ice cream sales and vendors and things of that nature. Maybe it would be appropriate.
That's a good point, Roger, and, there's obviously a lot of discussion that has to be done here. Mr. Adelise, we thank you for being here, and we'll get back to you. Okay?
Thank you.
Thank you very much. We will go now to department head reports. Fred, we're going to start on you today.
I have nothing to report other than a sad note that we did lose one of our really good friends and a longtime Margate employee, Agnes Schwartz. And I would just like to say that it was a very sad situation, and I think that maybe, Mayor, you could take a couple seconds and ask for a little bit of silence for her.
Certainly well-deserved. Agnes was a devoted employee and a friend, and why don't we take a few seconds of silence in her memory. Thank you. Maureen?
No, we're all good, thank you. James?
Jim, do you have anything else?
Very wet.
Roger?
Very, very busy. Things are picking up, believe it or not. On the yard sales, we're running a little light this year. Last year was actually light. We had 55. We're about at 40 right now. We have almost a week left. I expect we'll get over 50 into the neighborhood of 55. But I'm going to put some flyers out on the table if anybody wants to pick them up today. And you have until Wednesday to sign up, so spread the word.
Okay. Thank you, Roger. Mr. Abbott?
Mayor and Commissioners, you have a couple resolutions on tonight, which, I'm sorry, we have a couple resolutions on for tonight authorizing an interlocal services agreement with Longport, where our city has for a number of years provided service to Longport. Mr. Richetti's department maintains their vehicles. I believe our auditor or else our CFO thought that we should memorialize that with an agreement, and we now have that agreement with established rates, and our mechanics and our public works people will continue to provide service to Longport with regard to their vehicles, their motor vehicles. That's if you choose to approve this. But we also have another interlocal services agreement with Atlantic County, which will memorialize in writing a long-standing relationship with the county, whereby Margate performs snow removal and street sweeping services on the county roads that go through the city of Margate City. And there again, the city will be compensated. And again, through the public works. You guys are pretty good. Renting you out, making plenty of money for the city. But it does show that there's a continuing effort to try to share some of the burden and have interlocal agreements with other governmental entities. Those are the two I have for you tonight. I think that's basically it, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mike, I have a question. Scott, so just so I understand, those interlocal agreements are in fact already in place, and we are compensated for that work that we do. We're just saying now we want to make sure that we're compensated at a specific rate. So they're really not new, and we have been getting paid. I just want to clear that up. Right?
That is true. They are not new. These are continuation. There are some rate changes that went up, and we memorialized it now with a written document that spells it out. And, but yes, we have had this going.
And we have been getting paid. It's not like we've been doing this work for free.
Paid. I think Lisa would be on top of that.
Thank you. That's all.
Chief Wilson.
Lisa were paid.
To dovetail into Solicitor Abbott, if you look at Resolution 83, 2015, just so everybody's clear, that is for Jim Ratala, our grant person, to make application to obtain a new senior citizens bus. So I didn't want there to be any questions regarding that. That's it. As the BA from the police department, I just want to thank Fred and Lisa. Thanks to their diligent work, we got our new cross-match, our updated, brand-new cross-match fingerprint system in the police department today, which makes us very happy. So that's, every day's a good day. That's it.
Thank you, Chief. Lisa?
Just have two things I wanted to mention today. First, just as a follow-up to when Dave Miller was in a few weeks ago in regards to improving the city's defense for potential litigation, I received a message from a local attorney who's on the defense panel for the JIF and has represented Margate in several of its cases, Bob Morenich in Linwood. And, well, first of all, he left me some good news that he successfully defended the city in a trip and fall case. The charges were dismissed and held someone else accountable for the claim. But also, in addition to that, he has offered to come to the city and speak with the city officials free of charge, at no cost, on ways to improve our documentation and which will help to mitigate potential litigation and increase our defense in the future. So I spoke to Dan Adams, who is our safety coordinator, about that, and he's going to reach out and set up a time, for him to come to the city and meet with us. Also, the other thing I just wanted to mention is I see the resolution number 75 is on the agenda authorizing the auction for the municipal parking spots. And our minimum bid has been $200 for as long as I can remember. I don't know exactly what year we started to lease the parking spaces at the municipal lot on Washington Avenue. And I do realize that the commissioners would like to remain business-friendly and do what we can. However, I would recommend your consideration in increasing that minimum bid. When it comes down to it, it's, 50 cents a day, $200, which is all that we've been receiving for these spots on Washington Avenue. So it's just my recommendation for you to consider increasing the minimum bid. It is the only, municipal parking available in the city. So I don't think it's unreasonable. We have a lease with an individual who leases, I think, 14 other spots. And when you break it down, that he's paying, I believe, like $370 per spot. So it's something for you to consider.
Lisa, how many people typically come out to bid for the spots?
Well, there's 18 or 19.
No. What I'm saying is how many vendors bid for the spots?
I've never attended the auction.
The minimum, and I hear what you're saying, but the minimum is only just that, a minimum. If 10 people come out to bid for the 18 spots, certainly you should get more than the minimum, if they're worth more than the minimum.
Yeah.
So I don't know that it necessarily makes sense to raise the minimum bid, only in that a minimum bid is just a minimum bid. If you're going to have, competition for these spots, you're, encouraging people to come out and bid on the spots. That's just my thought. But if we raise it from 200 to 300, I don't think that's going to scare off anybody. But again, the way I see the minimum bid, it's just a minimum. If you're going to get competition for the spots, you're going to hopefully get more than the $200. If we don't, then that's then that's a different story.
Yeah, I don't recall ever receiving more than the minimum bid. We currently, other than the one individual who has 14 other spots, there are 7 individuals that lease the remaining 19 spots. Yeah, and it's, the local businesses. So, it's not my decision. It's up to the commission, of course. But, my opinion, I don't think it's unreasonable, to increase that. But, that's why I brought it up for discussion.
Okay. Thank you, Lisa. Anything else? Chief DeVasso?
I'm glad to report that everything is well in the fire department and the beach patrol. I have nothing specific to report this week.
Thank you, Tony. Frank?
Well, May 2nd, we have the citywide garage sales and cleanup weekend. Hopefully it'll be nice weather for the people that have garage sales, and we will be ready that weekend to pick up what's left over. We are finishing up the mulch. We're done the Parkway. We're done Marvin Gardens. There's a couple more city properties we still have to do, but we are moving along fast, and things are going well there. The beach, we've been on the beach for the past few months, and we've been leveling the beach off. We actually have our surf rates down there now. The beach pretty much looks like it does in the summertime. In a couple weeks, we will start setting up the beach with the trash cans and enclosures and the mats and the handicap entrances. We will be very busy coming up. On April 25th, from 8 to 12, in the Public Works Yard, we will have a shredding event. So anybody that would like to bring their important documents to have them shredded will be open from 8 to 12. Also on the 25th, we have a Clean Ocean Action that'll be down on the beach at the ramp at Granville Avenue. Will be set up there from 8:30 to 11:30. And this week we flushed fire hydrants. We were out there all week. We'll be out again tomorrow, and tomorrow we'll finish it up. Some people experience rusty water or cloudy water, but you know, as long as they run their water. We didn't get a lot of phone calls, but you know, we did get a couple, and that also went well. That's all I have.
Thank you very much, Frank. Marty, any comments?
No, nothing for me. Maybe just to echo and thank Fred. Agnes Schwartz was a real fighter. She fought her whole life. She was a great, great wife to her husband, Steve, who's a city employee, and a great mom. And never, ever, ever did I hear Agnes complain or say anything bad, negative about anybody. And she put her heart and her soul into Margate City, and she's going to be greatly, greatly missed. That's all I have.
Thank you. Brenda?
I have two things. One, this Saturday at the public yard on Benson Avenue, where Sustainable Margate is giving out tree seedlings. So if anybody's in the gardening mood, come pick up your free tree seedlings on Saturday morning from 9 to 12, crossing my fingers for nice weather. So come on out. And I want to echo also what Maury just said and what the mayor said. And Nanette, I thank you very much for doing that story on Agnes. It was a nice tribute to her. She worked for the city a long time, and she was very special to each of us. All I have to say is heaven has a new angel named Agnes.
Thank you, Brenda. I have a concern. I'll just publicly tell you that I'm very concerned about the condition of our streets. Mr. Wahlberg, our engineer, is not here, so I guess what information I need would have to come from him, but we've got to get on top of the gas company to make sure that they make us whole, and when I see Ed, I will speak to him about that. At this point, we will open up for public comment. You can have 3 minutes on anything that was discussed here today.
Joe Tosi. This fellow just left here talking about the trolley and going through towns. I have a lot of knowledge of this here, and I just wanted to bring it forward to you.
Name and address, please.
Am I talking too loud?
Name and address. Name and address. We need your name.
37 South Granville.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I didn't move yet. Well, what I'm trying to say, I've been putting up the signs for the Margate Fall Fun Fest for 15 years, and they're probably going to ask me to do it again even though I retire. The one thing I'm going to tell you is that right now we're running the Jitney Association that comes through Ventnor Avenue and turns to Coolidge and does that there circle and all that there stuff that the fellow was talking about, and we are not allowed to put pickup signs at any bus stop. The bus company will not allow us to do that. I put them at stops other than bus stops, and I try to use as many as I can. And he's saying that they're going to wave like this. So what happens if somebody's standing at the bus stop and waves to him, he has to pick him up? That could be a fare for the bus driver. So therefore, you know, I don't know, you want to look into this a little bit more. You know, see, I don't see this thing happening just the way he's saying it. You know what I'm saying? And like I say, the jitney drivers are right on the ball, and they have signs in their window also, which we give them. So it says so when they're driving down there, you know, not bus stops. So I just wanted to say that. All right.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Steve Altman, 9003 Amherst Avenue, Margate. Again, with regard to the trolley service, I didn't hear anything about handicapped access. If you went forward with it, would they have some sort of handicapped access on the buses? Thank you.
We'll find out and get back to you, Steve.
Sewell, 22 West Drive. A quick follow-up to the CFO concerning the budget and the accounting procedures for this year's budget. It's been brought to my attention that there's been an increase in the utility debt of almost $10 million in 1 year, and that essentially it's creating spending artificially low. Is that correct? The point they're saying is that by increasing utility debt to the tune of almost $10 million in 1 year, it's keeping spending artificially low by listing it as. Can you explain that?
Do you want to?
But we did not increase utility debt by $10 million. We authorized $1.5 million.
But is this differing from previous accounting procedures? Instead of having it as a current, charge to the current operating budget, this is not a change in accounting procedures. All right then, thank you very much.
Anyone else?
Sharon Simon, 424 North Thurlow Avenue. In regards to Lisa's report and the issue of litigation and budget and those things, and since Lisa's here, there's been a couple claims made by Mayor Becker and Commissioner Tobey that Commissioner Bob Blumberg spent $1.7 million or increased his budget by something. And also the mayor has confirmed on a couple occasions Steve Warner's comment of how much has been spent, will be saved over whatever number of years calculation by having the retirement of Tom Hiltner. And I'd like to know where those calculations are. And you've also, by saying those calculations are correct, that we are not hiring a clerk. So on the record, are we hiring a clerk to replace retiring Tom Hiltner? And is there a savings that we would have because we're not hiring? And did Lisa do those calculations, or did you do them? Because you are sitting people and you have the authority to know, and you said on 2 occasions, yes, we'd be saving $1 million or this many million over 10 years. So you need to be honest and accurate and transparent with the public. So I'd like a copy of those numbers. I can Oprah them, and if they don't exist, then why are you saying they're correct? And I'd also like the number of the numbers, and I can Oprah them, is what were the expense increase in Commissioner Blumberg's budget, and what did it represent? Was it pensions? Was it things? Was it the whole city? I mean, you're making it sound like he spent millions of dollars, which obviously he couldn't have done because we have no tax increase. So also, because you're sitting in office, if you're going to put these things on your campaign material, you need to provide the documentation. So I will Oprah those numbers, and I expect to get them. Thank you.
Should I? Any other public comment? Is there a motion to close public comment?
I'll make a motion that we close public comment.
I'll second that.
Call the roll, please.
Becker?
Yes.
Commissioner Blumberg?
Yes.
Commissioner Tobey?
Yes.
Is there a motion to adjourn this meeting?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Mayor Becker?
Yes.
Commissioner Blumberg?
Yes.
Commissioner Tobey?
Yes.
We'll take a very brief